So I would love for you to take us on a little journey through John chapter 21, where Jesus
Yeah.
is reinstating Peter.
Yes.
And he says, "Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me?" He says that three times.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Would you give us a little Greek lesson on this
Yeah.
passage?
Yes. So let me see. I'm pulling down here to the reinstatement. Yeah. So Jesus has called them to the shore. They are there. He's fed them, and then he says, verse 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
He asks Simon Peter, "Do you love me?" Right, and it uses the word agapao there, right? And Simon says, "You know that I love you." He uses the word phileo, right? He uses a synonym, and then he says again the second time, "Do you love me?" He says, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He uses phileo, and then shepherd my sheep, and he says a third time, "Simon, son of John, Phileas, do you love me?" And it says Peter was sad. Now, here's where I push back on pastors who preach this differently. And again, I'm always open to correction. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But notice what it says in verse 17. It doesn't say Peter was sad because Jesus said used a different word for love. It said, "Or do you just love?" But he was sad, it says, because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" Right? It'd be like if we were on a break from the show, Bill. Don't worry, I'm not going to do this. But if I said, "Bill, do you serve the Lord faithfully?" And you might think that's a strange question. And you say, "Well, yes, yeah, I serve the Lord with integrity and faithful." And then I say, "Well, Bill, let me ask you another question. Do you serve the Lord?" By the time I got to the third, you'd be like, "So what's he trying to say?" But of course, Simon had denied Jesus three times, and so it wasn't just there was something Jesus was trying to say. And so here's what's important. When you read the Gospel of John, you want to read the whole book in Greek, right? Not just a paragraph. And when you read the Gospel of John, he has a very interesting style. He loves to use near synonyms. He does it all over the book. And so that's just his style. So earlier in the book, he says the Father agapaos the Son, and he says the Father phileos the Son. So he's already used phileo and agapao interchangeably in reference to the Father's love for the Son. And he does that with other words too, like trugo and estheo, two words for eating, trugo, estheo, trugo. So I don't know why John does that. I mean, I think it's just his particular writing style. And so I think the issue in this passage is we all know that Peter denied Jesus three times, and Jesus asked him this pointed question three times, but yet and Simon, basically has to he lays himself before Jesus for his mercy, and Jesus lovingly reinstates him, as the Lord does when we fail him. He calls us back to himself. He doesn't abandon us, and so and I guarantee there are lots of people listening who've heard this passage explained different ways, but you'll have to look at it for yourself and see if you're convinced by what I say.